Welcome to Rise of Islam. This is Melinda Klein. The collapse of the Roman Empire in the Mediterranean led to the emergence of three new civilizations. In the West, Roman elements combined with Germanic influences and Christianity formed a new Christian Europe civilization. The eastern part of the old Roman Empire, increasingly Greek in culture and language, continued to flourish as Greek Christians in the Byzantine Empire. Although the European civilization of the East came to share a common bond of Christianity, it proved incapable of keeping them in harmony politically as the two civilizations continued to move apart. The rise of an Islamic empire, Rome's third heir, resulted in the loss of the southern and western Mediterranean worlds of the old Roman Empire to a religious power that was neither Roman nor Christian, and brought a conflict between the Islamic and Byzantine worlds in the eastern Mediterranean that lasted for centuries. In the year 570, in the Arabian city of Mecca, there was born a son named Muhammad, whose life changed the course of world history. The son of a merchant, Muhammad grew into maturity in a time of transition. Old empires that once ruled the Middle East were only a distant memory. Within a few decades of Muhammad's death, the Middle East was not only united again, but expanded its borders and formed new states in Spain, Northern Africa, and Persia. At the same time, political unification revived long-distance trade and spread culture and new ideas. Islam begins in the Arabian city of Mecca. Arabs did not have much role in history to this point. As compared to the Persians and Romans, Arabs were backwards. Like the Greeks, they had always fought among themselves. By 600 AD, however, Arabs became more civilized. They had cities, trade, wealth, and sophistication, but warfare continued. Muhammad Ali was born in 570 in Mecca. At 25 years old, Muhammad married a rich widow and retired from his uncle's caravan business. Across his adulthood, Muhammad spent much time meditating in the desert about the nature of the universe. After the fall of the Persian Greek empires and later the Roman Republic and Empire, this Arabian culture came to embrace the religious teachings of Muhammad Ali. Over a 10-year period from 622 to 632, Muhammad led his people to conquer Mecca and the entire Arabian Peninsula, a first for Arabs, never unified in their own right politically and religiously. After 632 AD on the Christian calendar, year 1 for Islam, Islam and its philosophies spread outside of Arabia. But a new leader of Islam had to be decided and a consensus was difficult. However, the religious authority lay in the authority of the military. The Muslim army then created the political order, known as the Caliphate. In the process of uniting the religious authority, Arabs continued to attack non-Arab areas. Among Muhammad's closest friends, it was ordered to have the Prophet's narrative organized into a book. The final form became the Quran by 650 AD. From 750 to 1258, the Abbasid Caliphate enjoyed continued power. But when the Mongols killed the noble family, its dynasty evaporated. There have been no caliphs since the 13th century. Jihad has several meanings. However, the main two would include striving in the way of Allah and number two, participating and believing in a holy war. For the Abbasid Empire, power declined after 850, and future decades, as tax revenue failed to make it back to Iraq and the Caliphate, resulted in a shift of economic and political power. In time, city living eliminated social stigmas as business dealings promoted cultural tolerance, along with social and intellectual interest. Business trends until the late Middle Ages were dominated by kinship ties. Over time, this diminished in importance, replaced by trade and commercial reputations. The Ottoman Turks were among the various Turkic-speaking peoples who had spread westward from Central Asia in the 9th, 10th, and 11th centuries. The first to dominate were the Seljuk Turks, noted for the fall of the Abbasid Caliphate in Baghdad and later establishing themselves on the Turkish peninsula of the Byzantine Empire, Anatolia. Turks also served as warriors or administrators, while others were peasants. The Janissary Corps represented a response to changes in warfare. As the knowledge of firearms spread in the late 14th century, the Turks began to master new technology, including siege cannons and muskets. The first Janissary units comprised of war captives and slaves. After the 1380s, the Sultan's men conscripted a number of non-Muslim, usually Christian Balkan boys, taken at birth, at first at random, and later by strict selection, to be trained. Initially, they favored Greeks, Armenians, Albanians, and usually selected one boy from 40 houses, but the numbers could be changed to correspond with the need for soldiers. The Safavids were an Iranian Shiite dynasty of mixed Azerbaijani and Kurdish origins which ruled Iran from 1501–1502 to 1722. The Safavid dynasty established control over all of Persia and reasserted the Iranian identity of the region, thus becoming the first native dynasty since the Sassanids to establish a unified Iranian state. Ideological conflicts between the Sunni Muslims, Ottoman Empire, and the Shiite Muslims erupted into many armed conflicts and territorial changes until the end of the Safavid Empire by 1722. Rarely in history has a Shiite nation become a national power and centralized government. The Mughals, post-Mongol Muslims in India, the Safavids, and the Ottoman Empire exhibit a number of striking similarities. They were Muslim in their religion, although the Safavids were Shiite rather than Sunni. More important perhaps was their nomadic traditions and the political and social institutions that differed from post-Roman territories of Europe and the former Byzantine and Persian empires. However, once these three imperial powers expanded their territorial boundaries, all three ruling dynasties displayed an impressive capacity to administer to a large empire and brought a degree of stability. As Muslim traders from the 7th century continued to expand business far and wide as merchants, so too did the influences of their philosophies and traditions.